Good morning, YouTube. Yes, it's me, Spirit Journey, and those who are watching this video on my other channel, Black Morning, good morning. Today is December 9th, 2014, and I want to talk about today a video that I saw on the Nation of Islam. They had the national speaker on. Her name is Ava Muhammad. I've heard her speak several times before, and she speaks. She's a phenomenal speaker. She's very motivational, and I mentioned in one of my prior videos that regarding the Nation of Islam that that they they they're speaking more boldly. Well, every Sunday they have um, a sermon, and I heard that they're going to have her on last Sunday, and so I wanted to make sure that I, you know, watched over the internet. And wow, she was, she didn't hold back. She didn't hold back how she feels, and that I admire with her. She's well spoken. She's a lawyer by training, and now she's working as a one of the assistant speaker, national assistant speaker of the organization. And wow, they she was talking about. I mean, she this first time that it was this direct. She mentioned about Michael Brown shooting, and then now another shooting of a 12-year-old boy that was um, playing in a park, and he was playing with a toy gun. And what I didn't know about the case with the little boy was that they shot him down dead, but his 14-year-old sister was right nearby and ran to the scene. And I was told that the cops tackled her, a little 14-year-old girl, tackled her down to the ground and then handcuffed her and put her in the police car. Wow, it's really getting out of hand. And I, I'm very saddened about this. And it has to stop. Um, what I was thinking about this morning as I got up was, I listened to her, the Nation of Islam's video, and then I just started thinking, and I started asking myself questions. Um, I asked myself, are these events that are happening in the Black community, is it happening more, or is that the media is now airing them over the internet, over the media? And if that is the case, if it's happening at the same intensity, but now they want to put in the media for the general population to see, what would be their motive? And so I started thinking, why, if that is the case, what would be the motive? And what I'm thinking about, um, excuse me, what I'm thinking about is that each time the media shows what's going on, it gets more and more intense, the social climate, and it's just really getting like the wild, wild west, the police. And I'm starting to think that maybe all this is they have a motive. And part of me feels that um, they may want you to react. They're relying on blacks and other people of color to get emotional and react. And again, the word react is to do something without thinking, you know. So you want to respond. Respond means that you think and then you do based on logic and reason and safety, you know. So why do they want us to react? And I'm thinking, well, maybe they want us to react because they're relying on us to get violent so they could justify the police shooting us. And if you portray black people as always being verbal and physical and so-called aggressive, then it's going to scare the general white population. And so all these whites are afraid of blacks, then maybe they want to get arms. Maybe they're going to start sending out the National Guard and they're going to send them to our communities, you know, black communities. And what are they going to do? Well, if they already think that you're violent, they're not going to think twice in shooting you down. And as we see, now they're shooting little 12-year-old boys and tackling little 14-year-old girls to the ground. They have no, the police, you know, I mean, not all police are corrupt. That's one thing I want to say. Not everyone is wicked like that, but you just need one bad apple, and they can ruin it for the you know everyone else. The fact that you have people, police officers, and many of them are white, and they're doing these things now. It just seems like with immunity, and so part of my reason of doing this video today is to let the community know that we have to think, um, we have to really think out what we do and not to fall for the trap. The trap is to get us emotional so that we'll do something so that the government may send troops and try to destroy us. Okay? So we need our leaders, and we need our leaders to really start thinking and organizing a some type of movement to promote awareness to the world at large. We have to let people know, not just in the U.S. but all over the world, that these things are happening. But if they think that black people are just people who on do rap videos of violence and have their pants sagging down, they're not going to take you seriously. They're not going to respect you. They're not going to like you. They're just going to fear you and want to see you gone. So we have to prepare mentally and as a group collectively how we're going to fight the good fight, a fight that we become winners, not losers, because, they just want us to just react without thinking. And again, you want to walk out with your head high and alive, there's a time to speak and there's a time to be quiet. We have to really be on top of things, and I don't know the answers or the specifics what we should do, but we need to do something and we need to do it effectively. So, getting back with the N.O.I, the Nation of Islam, Ava Muhammad was speaking last Sunday, and she was mentioning that very fervently. She says, we have to start doing something. She said that she wants to try to get have 10 million people. She wants the men and the boys of America to join what they call the Fruit of Islam. The Fruit of Islam is their I guess it's like, I don't want to say I guess you could say like a military, component, the men of the organization who are there to protect, their community and the women in particular in their organization. And that if we're able to get people to join the FOI and that we donate money, she said even we can, if each person could just contribute $100 into this, that they'll have the funds. And then my concern was when she mentioned that was, and even she mentioned, she says, a lot of us, when we talk about money, you know, they say, well, what is Mr. Louis Farrakhan, what is going to do with the money? Ava Muhammad says. And then she said, well, look about, these people. She mentioned this magazine, I think it was Forbes, the Forbes 400, that it gave a listing of the riches of the rich, the billionaires, and that's what the B as in boy, like the billionaires club, and who are the top 400 people on this list. And she was mentioning some of the names of the people, and that she says, well, they make money, and no one's asking what they do with their money. But I'm thinking, it's none of my business what a billionaire, how he spends his money. She did mention that Bill Gates is at the top of the list. And for me, I don't care what someone else has. If someone's a billionaire or millionaire or they have six-figure income, that's their business. In business, you have a buyer and you have a seller. I mean, a buyer, yeah, a buyer and a seller. And if I'm going to buy something, I like let's say this highlighter, you know, um, if I need one, I go to the store and I buy it. I'm not asking the store owner, well, what are you going to do with my money? It's none of my business what he does with the money. So my argument with Miss Muhammad, all respect to her, but a lot of us, regardless of race, we may give our monies. And you have a lot of churches in the black community or any community, and they ask for money and they squander it. And so I think one thing that um, that really shines on those people who are billionaires, they know how to manage their money. Anyone could become poor. There are many people who have businesses and they might squander their own money. They just might buy just ridiculous stuff, you know, and these billionaires, they probably invest their money as Miss Muhammad, Mrs. I said Miss Muhammad, but I meant to say Mrs. Muhammad because she is married and she has children. So yeah, so Mrs. Muhammad was saying, that you have these people with all this money, but and that they probably manage, invest their money. And yes, they probably do, and invest their money. So, um, so the so-called regular working person, they receive money too, and it's up to them to learn about investing their own money. Whether invest in yourself, get an education, something that to build you up, and save money. And then you could also learn to invest. Knowledge is free if you go to the library. So I don't want to not. I felt when Mrs. Muhammad was the Nation of Islam was mentioning that, I thought it was like a smoke screen. You know, it's it's like, okay, don't look at what why I'm asking you for this money. You know, look at these rich white folks, so to speak. I thought she was implying, and no one questions them about their money. Again, you have a product. It's either you want to buy it or not. And what you do with the product and what they do with the money, that's to one's own affairs. So um, I think regardless what community you come from, black, white, yellow, or red, you need to start asking questions and not just get intimidated when someone says, oh, well, you don't ask those white people what they're doing with your money when they come and have a business in your community. You have the power to not buy their product. I have a shopping cart and I walk like a mile to get some of my groceries. So I stay fit and trim, in the process. If you don't like, a particular person, establishment, you don't have to go there. We have the power to go into any community and buy. If you like how they treat you, you like their product. So I feel for her to get a little defensive about why black people are asking why give the Nation of Islam $100. Um, I think it's a good question, and just like Bill Gates and all the other billionaires, I'm sure when someone approaches them, the people in their community ask them about, hey, why don't you invest in this or that? I'm sure that um, he's asking them questions. How much you want? What are you going to do with it? How is it going to be distributed, etc., etc. With the investors, and people who are in the financial community, they have what I think is called a prospectus. It's like a booklet, and they have like an outline of what it's all about. This particular investment, when it started, who, you know, um, where is it taking place? All these particulars about this investment. And so, it's good to ask questions. If people like Bill Gates asks questions, shouldn't I ask even more questions? I have left. I have more to lose. A penny to him may mean nothing, but a penny for many of us, it's tight. We're one check away from poverty. The money he makes, Bill Gates, I can't even pronounce it now. What the money he makes, the interest he gets on $1 billion, it, he can probably live off the interest. The amount of interest I get is maybe 10 cents, sometimes 4 cents, 3 cents a month, according to how much money I have in my savings. That's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, don't be intimidated. Ask questions. Don't let anyone say, well, don't ask us questions what we're going to do with the money. It's important to ask questions, and especially if it's coming out of your pocket. Now, they did mention that they want to get a state, and I'm all for a state. A state of our own. Um, my concern is um, what type of state will it be? Will it be an Islamic state? And what about those people who support the Nation of Islam? Will they, many of these are, quote unquote Christians. And so, or they might be part of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. So, you know, so when it comes together, this group, their interest of having their own state, how is it going to be run? Will it be run equally amongst the different denominations, or will it be a Islamic state? If it's an Islamic state, I do not want that because I'm not a Muslim. And my other question was regarding it is if, how do you say, if they, I'm sorry, I'm losing train of thought a little bit. Um, I can't really, well, I think the main point that I'm trying to give out is that we have a movement and we don't want to be careless and support something. And when you get into it, you know, it's going to come back and bite you, you know. So we need to ask these questions. It's good to want progress for our community, but it's also good to find out, hey, okay, if you get our backing, we'll support you, but we need to know what your plan is what type of state will it be, and how will it be represented. I don't want to, what do you call it? What's that word? Not, it's that word that like if you commit like a crime, a particular type of crime, like adultery and things like that, that they're gonna stone the person to death, or honor killings. And what will the state of women be? The women in their organization are phenomenal. They're well educated. They speak well. They seem really top notch, the women that they have representing them, that speak openly in the organization. But my concern is, if they have this state, will these women, because they say openly that the women are the goddesses, and we hear that a lot in the community. But when everything is all said and done, what will be the state of the woman in this organization? Will we later on have to wear everything covered, the face and the body? Will we be allowed to drive or to walk in the street unaccompanied by a male? Because like in some Islamic states, like Saudi Arabia, the women have to always be chaperoned with the male, and they cannot drive. They legally cannot drive in a car. You know, so they have to call for taxis, and it's a male driver driving them. And so if we want to start a own state, we have to know, is this down the line for women? So they get everybody to support them, and then you know. So these are concerns that I do have. Again, I would like to support their endeavors in um, getting us prepared to protect ourselves. Because again, if they're willing to shoot down a little 12-year-old, what's going to happen with me? And I mentioned in one of my older videos that I have a twin, and he's walking home, from a friend's house. It's in daytime. It might have been like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and um, it was a squadron of police cars surround him, and they jump out of the car with their guns drawn on him. One person unarmed, and it was a mistaken identity. And what if he react, or and my brother react and get hostile, or whatever what you want to call it, and they shoot him. So I am sensitive about this. I don't want to come across like, oh, you're not sensitive regarding the needs of the blacks. Too many deaths. I feel their pain. Anything could have happened to my brother. And what happened to my brother was that um, earlier that day, a taxi was robbed at. I don't know whether they had a gun or a knife. This was in the early 80s, 1980s, and my brother was just walking home, but he was near the scene of the crime, and so any black male that they saw first, that person, it had to be that person. That was the mindset. So my brother didn't even fit the description of the person that did the robbery, and they realized they handcuffed him and they put him in the car, and then they were waiting for the taxi person to come and identify if it was my brother. Yeah, that doesn't even look like a the taxi person said, and they even took my brother, even after hearing that, they took my brother to the police station, and because they were afraid at this point, because a crowd surrounded them, the police cars, and they were getting angry. Hey, he didn't do anything. What, one of those type of things. And they drove him handcuffed to the police station because they were afraid. And my father had to go take him out of pick him up from the precinct, and then they covered changed the report on it about the description of the alleged robber. But anything could have happened. He could have lost his life. Anything. Oh, we thought he had a weapon. Oh, he moved his hand funny. So I am very sensitive about these issues, and I want I want safety for the Black community in all, ethnic minorities, so-called minorities of America and all over the world. But I just feel that we need to think ahead, and we need to organize, and we need to even ask our leaders, the right questions. And if they fail to give you an answer and they use, a smoke screen like, oh, well, how come you don't ask these billionaires what they do with their money? Again, it's their money and I have the product. If you don't like the product, you just send it back to the person who sold it to you. So don't be afraid. Think with a clear head. Don't react. Respond. And so that's all I wanted to say. That we have to be careful. And if this was helpful to you, give me a thumbs up. Tell a friend about me. Enjoy your week and be safe. Take care, guys.